Nothing like moving the new ground. Now we're still missing the bull and the two little guys. Come on, Marvel. Lead him through the hole. Well, not little guys. That one in the back there is the heifer. Good day, folks. Welcome to 406 Regen. Just got all the sheep netting up. Unrolled 2 bales of really nice looking hay. So we're gonna load them in. I only gave them 2 bales today because there's a lot of green shoots coming up. And I mean, I could feed them absolutely as much as I wanted to, and they'd still leave it and hit all the green shoots first. There ain't nothing I can do about it. They're gonna go after that nice candy. So we are just gonna accept that fact that that's what they're gonna eat first. And they got some, like I said, really nice green hay over there. So anyway, so told you they're all gonna go after the green. First, no matter what, aren't you? Hey, no jumping around when you got sheep around you. So there's a couple that are gonna look at the hay, but for the most part, they're gonna eat every green blade of grass out here. Then they'll go to the hay. So, but it is springtime. It's 35 degrees today. Yesterday was, last couple days we've had 70, high 60s. 35 today, so it's kind of chilly. But that wind is, yeah. So they'll tank up on good energy here. So we went ahead and drove in one of these T-posts just to give something for the animals to rub on. It was a good idea. You! Load up! Load! Now! Load! Load! Stay! Anyway, that's what you have when you got a dog that teaches bad manners to other ones. Gotta try to stay on top of that. But as you can tell, everybody likes rubbing on things, and that's how we ended up running over that one ram, unfortunately, is because he ran in front of the duals on the pickup. So hopefully this will kind of help cure some of their shedding itchiness. I was going to talk some about the netting here today. There's a guy, Earth Care Cowboy down in Utah, just kind of getting into building his flock up and was thinking about getting the netting. So I've been wanting to do this video in a while and haven't, but I'm gonna, just to let everybody know my thoughts and the pros and cons kind of it. This will be our 3rd lambing season, so my 4th summer using netting. I have only ever used the Kenco brand, and they have different sizes. So you got your poultry netting, your big spacings, and for those that are wanting to raise sheep, and you want, I'm not going to say it's not possible, because they can still get in the poultry ones. You want to give the lambs the best chance possible of surviving, right? We don't get big squared ones. You want to get the poultries. So we run 40-inch top wire. It's 40 inches off the ground. And there's 10 horizontal lines, and
there's the 3 buttons.
13 up, and they're 3.5 inch spacing by.
These are the 3x3.
Yeah, that's 3x3. That's the poultry one.
Yep.
Those are safer than the 3x7, and they even sell goat ones that are like 7x7. Don't buy those unless you're just raising pure adults. Even then, if they're not trained to netting, you're still liable to end up with something in it. But like I was saying, the 40-inch tall ones are what you want. We started with 48s, and they also have 1/2-inch post. And they're 164 feet long. These are very awkward and cumbersome to use. With the wind, it gives it that extra. It's not nearly as good. And if you're crawling over it every day, checking on your lamb crop, that's an extra 8 inches that you're trying to push down and get out of the way. So we don't use those. Out here in this windy country, though, we do use the post with the double spikes on the bottom. You need that to be able to stand up in this climate.
Unless the longer ones, single ones are longer.
Even if they're longer, we'd still get the wind will probably still rock it out of the ground, though. And because we're in a semi-dry area, we run positive, negative netting. That's why you see red and green wires. So this one here, positive, negative, and that way when they touch it, all they got to hit is both wires at the same time, and it'll bite them. To replace these nets, I would not do the 164 footers again. About the time you get to that 4th post at the end, there's 13 posts along the length of the fence, and about the time you get to that last 3 or 4, it's very hard to keep them in your one hand as you're going along. So if you're wanting a wife or kids to help you out fairly easily, I would get the 82s. They're 82 feet long. They might end up costing a little bit more doing it that way, but you're going to be more liable to stick with it because it's not going to be such a hassle to move them. And like I said, I would not buy this fence again because you can see the spacing. It's 3x7, and the lambs get in here and then they twist themselves up, and now it's not a very good end of life situation. The little ones, they can still manage to get in here, but not nearly as bad. And let's face it, you're gonna have some loss kinda with any kind of fencing. Even if you just did metal sheep mesh fencing, you'd still end up with that. So they are very good for predator control. Because the first year we ran the sheep, he was a puppy, his sister's a puppy, and that's all we had for dogs as far as guardian dogs, and we've yet to have any predator loss of coyotes or anything coming through the nets. So again, you just 40 inches is a good height.
And you can use it for chickens.
And if you want, you can use it for chickens, cows, pigs, whatever. But don't try to save a little bit of money and get the big squared hold ones that are 7x7. They say they're for goats and sheep. Lambs are gonna shoot through that and get just knotted up in it. So you don't want to do that. Other than that, it depends on your climate. If you want to just do a positive or not a positive negative like we are, it doesn't affect them quite as bad, which you would think is a little weird because you got more uprights, but it doesn't seem to. tangle up in it too bad. So that's kind of the down low of the nets. If you're in really rocky ground, you might want to try the single spikes. Might be easier getting the ground for you. Another trick that we would do personally if we was to get another, no, that one's actually on there. If we was to buy more fence, we'd put hot glue in here to keep this wire from popping out, because they do that quite often. And even this black cap, if you find some that are loose on your wire, hot glue that on, because once you lose the black cap, and then you're just twisting that top wire around just the post. Good predator control. You got, once your sheep are trained to it, quite honestly, you can throw the net up anywhere. So complete free range of where you want to put your nets. And the absolute best way, if you think you're going to run, your sheep in 4 nets, buy 8. So that day when you go out to move, build your first paddock, build both of them, divide it in half. And when you move the sheep, then you're always just constantly moving 4, but your next paddock's always moved in case something comes up and you just gotta let them. Let's talk about some of the cons of the electric netting. Okay, if you're running 164 foot length ones like I am, and it's really windy, they can become very cumbersome in the wind. And it's also in the growing season, when you start, if you don't mow or something in front of it, you can see how this is laid over instead of being nice and flat, because this grass is holding it up in the air. Well, in the growing season, that just becomes much, much worse. And if your sheep aren't trained to it, they're just going to shoot under it, and now you just got a big disaster because they don't respect it, right? So what I'd always do, because I didn't ever mow in front of it, it takes longer, you got to go through and knock the grass out from under it. I would usually put a post in the center. As you can see, this one here is this one needs patched. It's pretty well got a big old hole in it, which is why that post is there. But you got to make sure to keep it low and tight to the ground, especially when you're first starting out with like lambs. They're really bad for it. The ewes, they get bigger, they're trained to it. They know not to touch it. I don't have to do that center post anymore. The fence is up. They know it's up. They're not going through it. But say you're just going into lambing season, you're thinking about trying to get to electric fence, netting, whatever. Before lambing, if you're in a hard corral system or something, in the spring you're going to run them out on wire, set up the netting, set up your high tensile, whatever, build the corral inside the corral, right? So you got your hard fence, the sheep can't get out. Go ahead, set up your netting inside that corral, so then the lambs are born into the system. If they're born into the system, they're going to know from day one, the mothers will teach them not to touch the fence. They'll learn not to touch the fence once they're born in that system. And it's it drastically changes on how easy it is to be able to try to keep them in. Because if you say you're getting them in the spring, you lambed out, all that green grass is just now flush, and they've never met a net, or they've never seen poly wire, you're not going to be able to keep them in, because they don't know what it is. They're just going to run through it. Oh, that hurt. And every time they run through it, it's that much worse. Whereas if you got them in a spot and they're trained to it, you're going to do just fine. Netting is pros of it. It's very good to keep it along, keep the predators out. You can make pens anywhere you want to. They are a pain in the butt to move, especially if you got tall green grass. You have to plan ahead, and it takes some time. if you mow it, you know, that takes time, some labor, but it'll help the process out quite a bit.